My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise-canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Okay, so as of this moment, decided to come on here. I'm sorry that I don't have my ear and mouthpiece, but that's a whole different story. I've had to do some cleaning up on around here so that I could find things that I couldn't in a long time, and sometimes when I find certain things, other things get buried in the rubble, so it gets hard to keep up with it all, but that's really no big deal because I think that as of this evening, we don't have too much to worry about as far as what other sounds may come this way, and feel like we've pretty much kind of gotten a little things taken care of. But I decided that for tonight it would just be a little good night for me to just come on here and just carve little random things for you all to watch. I've got several little random pieces I've been working on bit by bit, little by little, in just little steps at a time, working about them, trying to get a little bit more done into them. And for some time I've had these two bear cubs done, one out of cherry and one out of walnut. I just recently carved one more out of cherry and one more out of walnut. I've got them in the oil soaking right now, and just recently carved another little mahogany horse. It's kind of like all the ones out of all the other woods I've just carved before. And got a little thing to share and to show as far as how that little Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus had just recently come along, and to say the least, I tell you all that as of this little work, you know, I've kind of got the little walnut and sapelli Josephs, got the walnut and sapelli Marys. I've kind of got little pieces I have already kind of made out for the mangers, got the insides of the mangers carved out, but still have yet to carve the sides of the legs and the little baby inside. But that's just the kind of work that comes along its own way. And wanted to show you all a little other thing I've worked on. I've made a new pattern for a little cat. As you all probably know, there's been another kind of cat I've carved, but I just can't stress it to you all the ways that all these patterns just get mislaid and accidentally thrown away when I try to clean up, because it's hard enough to keep them organized when you're under as much stress as I've been under. So that's just one of those things we'll just kind of take care of in its own time. But I've been working on little other types of cat patterns, and as a matter of fact, had these little scraps of basswood, which, given their shapes, I was able to draw certain lines into them, from which I was able to make these Himalayan cats. And how that's going to come out when we start to sort of carve out all their paws and faces and stuff, it's just going to come out the way it's going to, and just the way it's going to be. And I sort of just took a piece of paper and traced onto there all the little steps I'm going to need for that pattern. And I say that we might just go a little along here, and thought I was about to say my glove was missing too, but I just found it and got little things here to go along it and its little way. So we're just going to work further along with that. Think, since you've already seen how much I've done on this horse, pretty much got finished with the carving part on that one, and pretty soon getting to where it's going to be time to sand it and kind of get it to where it's going to be ready for the next little phase of work. I say it's just this type of little work we have and do. It's just one little thing we say and play and do, and I say when we carve along on things, it just gets to be a little special work we do. I say decided we're going to try to move this down a little bit, let you all kind of see how this is done, and that's how we're introducing this new camera and the way it's going to work, because, or this new tripod that the tablet is on, because we can turn it down a little bit so you all can kind of see the way I'm carving now. It'll do a whole lot better than the tablet sitting in that other thing did. And I'll tell you all that this is a time when I must tell you all how it is with the weather here, because we've had some big snow blizzards come, and I'd say for the days that I haven't been able to go to work, because in the school district I work for, they've been calling off schools and having only NTI days instead of snow days or regular school days. Since I do cafeteria work, I haven't been able to go to work, so that's kind of why we've been doing some online training instead. And for all the little online training we've been doing, that's kind of one of the things they kind of give us to do on these NTI days, so that, just like they're trying to keep the students from having to make school up at the end of the year, even so with some of us who, work in food service, I'd say that with our calendars, if they didn't give us something to do on the NTI days, they would be finding work for us to do at the end of the year, and we would have to make it up. A lot of people just ask the question as far as just what we do on those days when there's no students, but they find things for us to do. They kind of probably have meetings with us. They have in-services with us. They probably have us do cleanup. They find something for us to do for all the days we've already been paid for on the calendar, and there's just so much they try to avoid having to go through again, because it gets a little hard on employees sometimes that they kind of have already sort of scheduled their vacations, and sometimes their vacations kind of their plans end up getting ruined just because of the way that the little makeup days go. So we're trying to keep from having a lot of disappointed employees this year, so they found ways to kind of work things into our calendar so we wouldn't have so much to make up at the end. And so we've kind of got all the little things taken care of that I think we need. So that's just one of the things where they're going to work us in the system. I sort of say that I enjoy the working in the system just the way it is and the way it works. I say that there's just a lot of business time coming, and we've got it all just really good and taken care of these days. So I say that, you know, one thing the weather's been doing to me is it's been making it impossible for me to get out. Not only get out to work, but, you know, it's like the way it's been. I kind of get so tired at night, even on a day when I go to work during the daytime, that I don't hardly ever get out to socialize anymore or to hang out in places like I used to. And it's become one of those things where life has just gotten so much different that I can't do a whole lot of what I used to do the way I used to do it. And so I don't really miss it so much on a day when we are having work. But I tell you, probably the fact that I've missed going out to work and seeing my coworkers might have been the reason why lately I just miss getting out at night a whole lot more. But for me personally, it's just not safe to be driving on these roads when they are the way they are in Kentucky right now. And I'd say that as for little random works of carving we do, I've got little things to say and maybe to come along, try to get little bits of work done, different things, different moments. And I'd say, for one thing, I'll tell you all about all that sapelli wood I had for a long time, and it took me a while to find a piece that was just the right shape to make this little manger from, but I eventually just found it down there in all the scraps and stuff and all the junk that was down there in the shop. So just kind of had to work my way about it just to find the right piece that I needed and get back down to work on whatever we do, I say. And oh, I tell y'all, little work goes. And oh, I tell y'all, the time when we all just kind of get past the things in life where little things just go a little strange, decide to just kind of work along the sides of these mangers and get a little bit more done. And a little interesting thing I learned about mangers is that back in Bible days, mangers were feeding troughs, and that a feeding trough was what Jesus was born in, from what I found out. And just kind of the way that sometimes, I mean, the feeding trough might not have even been out of wood, it might even just been made out of a stone. Sometimes they could take a rock and just kind of probably take a mallet or something and just carve out the middle of the rock to make a like little bowl shape inside of it, just to kind of make it like a little feeding trough for the animals. That might have been what the animals ate out of in those days. We don't know, but anything could have happened, you know. There's no telling what kind of trough the baby Jesus could have been born in, and it could have been just any. But I tell you, way things change these days, you know, liability laws change and things like that. So we kind of got more sanitation laws these days than they did in those days. And, you know, and I've always heard all this little stuff about different ways of babies' lives and their births, because I've heard about the days whenever it was that, you know, they talk about how, and I'm just getting short on words here, I'm forgetting what I'm trying to say, but I'm remembering it now, how they used to make baby rattles out of wood. I've learned some stuff about that because, you know, since the time I started working with wood and carving, I wanted to kind of learn how to try to make baby rattles out of wood, and asked a certain friend I had online for at that time about certain advice he might have had, and commented on the post saying that wood is not recommended these days for liability reasons. that could very well just be the truth of the matter, you know. Babies kind of get pieces of wood in their mouths, and it could just kind of cause them to hurt their mouths a little more. And I'd say, for one thing, I kind of have a little toddler niece for sure, and tell you all that she finds up in the living room pieces of wood I might have left in there. She'll pick them up and play with them a while, but thankfully she's gotten so big she don't put stuff like that in her mouth no more. And for this little thing, I say I've kind of gotten the little sapelli manger in with the little head. Do think that for little things time. And this is kind of what I'd like to tell you all is the way I've been doing my days lately. Because, I mean, you know, it's just kind of the time when things are stressing me to the point that it's hard to focus on one project at a time. That's the main reason why I haven't been doing a lot of videos where I demonstrate to you all how to do a single project, because it's been really hard to focus on any one thing or work on anything new right now as far as a video or anything like that goes, because it's just a time when I just have to kind of carve whatever I already know how to carve, just to try to help myself stay calm in this time. And it's just one of those moments where I decide to get back on here with you all and just tell you all little things. We're kind of hoping soon that things will get back to normal with the weather. I don't know what kind of shows I'm going to have in the coming year. We can always take care of that when it comes to its own time, but I'd say yes, for now we'll kind of get back to working again and try to maybe carve another little top of a manger scene for baby Jesus, and kind of, like we say, kind of work on little random things. And since I've never done any video where I've demonstrated how to do the whole carving for this cat, I think I'm going to kind of work on that by myself at first, just to kind of see how that's going to go, see how it's going to be, see what it's going to do, and maybe I'd say sometime in the future probably get around to doing it. But it just so happened that I chose to saw it from a pretty tough piece of wood there. It was a pretty tough piece of walnut for some odd reason, and I tell you, it was just kind of a, like, see, this is a little bit of a softer piece of walnut, but these cat blanks were made out of a tougher piece. And sometimes I just kind of get a piece and just want to make use of it if I have it. I don't want it to go to waste, and right now I am really trying to clear my shop of scraps, and that is kind of the reason why there's so many scraps I'm trying to use right now, because I'm trying to get the shop a little cleaner so that I can kind of make a little bit more room to get a little bit more in there of what I'm going to need for future projects, and probably even just get a few more tools set up, maybe get my lathe set up in there, because I haven't used it in years, ever since kind of rearranging in there. And it's been one of those things that, since it's one thing I'd be less likely to use, it would kind of be a little too much in the way if I had it out so much. So I'd say right now there's just so much we're trying to make use of, because it is just a hard time to really sell all these exotics I have and all these exotic woods, and really kind of try to make a use of them, because they are all just kind of going away for certain reasons and all kinds of strange things to do. And I tell you all that a little work shall just kind of find its way to us and make us all see a little brighter days, brighter images, brighter nights. I say that it's just kind of work at its best for all of us. And I say that this is just kind of something that is just the kind of time and effort we take blessing babies and children and things, and I'd say we're kind of coming close to the end here, so we're trying to kind of cut this short. And you've probably seen me carve enough random things that I've gotten on here to talk about and to share about, so I will finally almost come to an end and say, if you so interest you, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.